Hello, Bronwyn Lund from BronHolm Tours here. I'm in I Rønne, which is the largest town on the island of Bornholm, and I'm making 360 video walking tours for people who either can't get to the island or can't get around the island. And today we're actually going to walk from the church down along the harbour and through part of the old town on the north side of the town and end up at the square. So it's a bit of an opposite walk to the walk I did in Rønne Walk 1, just with a couple of different streets included. It's very windy. Autumn has well and truly set in, so I'm also testing some new wind foam on the camera to see if it can cut out the wind noise. So I hope you enjoy the tour. In front of us, of course, is the church, and I have actually included the church in Walk 1 of Rønne. So if you want a little bit more information and detail about the church, check that walk out. Now we're going to walk out because the church actually has a really quite amazing view of the harbour, and I must come down and film when the ferry's actually coming in. The ferry is actually docked in this morning and it will be heading out in about an hour or so, but it's actually quite a magnificent thing to see the ferry coming in through the two heads and coming in and docking at the ferry terminal. So this is the main harbour of Rønne, and over to the left hand side is the industrial area and also where the cruise ships come in. And then the north end of the harbour is where the leisure craft are. So it's quite an extensive harbour. It's one of two deep water harbours on the island. The other deep water harbour is on the other side of the island in a town called Erichsens. So we're just going to walk into town now, and on the right hand side, of course, we can see the lighthouse. So the town of Rønne is on the west side of the island, the southwest side of the island, and it's the main administrative centre for the island these days, and it has about 14,000 residents. So that's pretty big. That's a pretty big town for our little island, because the next largest town has 4,500 inhabitants, so and that's the town of Erichsens on the east side of the island. Altogether there's about 39,500 people living here on Bornholm. So we're just coming down into the harbour now, and this is where we drive our car when we are going to get the ferry over to the mainland. We take the ferry to Sweden most times, but you can also get the ferry to Germany and Poland. So you just turn in here with your car, and there's the terminal over to the left, and there's actually a ramp that goes up to the ferry. The old half-timbered house over there on our left is an old customs house, and you can see some of the customs buildings on the left-hand side, and also the tax department. Now directly in front of us, this building that has Rønne H written on it is actually the old railway station, and the railways were on Bornholm for about 50 years from the early 1900s, and went all over the island, but they were decommissioned. So just walk along and have a look at this fine building. It's a very lovely building. And then we'll turn and go up into the northern part of the old town. So this is the main drag up to the town centre. It's not one of the prettiest streets of the town, but it's very functional. And what we're going to do is we're just going to turn left up here and follow some of the older streets, which are a little bit more charming, and then we'll end up at the town square, which is up at the top of the hill at the top of this street. So over to the left is the mall. This is about as big as a mall gets on Bornholm. Now we're going into some of the quieter and more charming streets of the northern part of the town. Just cross over so we can examine some of these half-timbered houses a bit more closely. They really are classic and reminiscent of a much earlier time for the town. I love how the steps just come down onto the street, and the street has actually had to be developed and built around the houses, because the houses have been here for much longer than cars, of course. They've had to widen the streets to make room for cars, but there isn't room, so the walkways are very narrow. The footpaths are very narrow. Now, just up here to the right, for me, is an interesting little house, because that's actually the house that my husband's great-grandmother, or my children's great-great-grandparents, lived in. And it's actually just recently been bought by the local dermatologist. And until recently, the door here actually still had their name on it. But it's going to require a lot of work to bring it back up. And that's the thing about these old houses. They, everything, the whole town, or this area of the town, has a blanket heritage listing over it. So you have to seek permission to do anything to the house, and of course you need to do it with respect to how the house looked and functioned when it was built. So that can be quite challenging if you want to renovate something and make it modern, but still retain the heritage look. So we're just working our way left, right up to the town centre, and around the corner here is actually an old merchant's quarters, and it's actually set up as a museum with the garden set out traditionally as it would have been back in the day. And also you can see the streets in the old part of the town are still cobbled. Just wait for this car to go by. So up here to the left, just go as close as I can to these houses so you can see the old merchant's quarters. This salmon pink building across the road here is called Erichsens Gård. And actually I think we can probably just pop in and have a look at the garden round the back of the house. See how it's sort of set up. Do a quick walk around. They obviously offer tea and cakes in the summer. Just goes up to the other side of the house, which I think we can walk around. We can walk around the back here and get a look at the rest of the garden. Come around the back and see some of the old half-timbered outbuildings. Kitchen garden out here at the back. And back around to the main house. And this little museum is set up exactly as a townhouse, a town merchant's house would have looked in the 1850s. So it's a lovely place to visit. That's just the front of it as we go along on the left. It's a lovely museum. So now we are heading along up to the main shopping street of the town, and we'll follow that shopping street back into the main town square. Now, the interesting thing about the main town square was that, unlike most of the town squares in the other towns on Bornholm and in other towns in Denmark, it was never a market square. And you'll see that when we come to the square, because it's huge and it's rectangular. And the reason why it's huge and rectangular is because it was actually a marching ground for the king's troops. And Bornholm has very much been an island used in the defences of Denmark over thousands of years, in fact. But over the last couple of hundred years, it has particularly held strategic importance in view of being so close to Eastern Europe, and it's often been referred to as the fist of Western Europe. So it has always been a very important military outpost. Bornholm and its surrounding islands, Christiansø and Frederiksø, which are part of the Erthelmene archipelago off the east side of the island. So historically, this has been a very important part of Denmark's defence, this island and the area around here. So now we're walking down the main part of the street, the walking street, this is called in Danish, and it's where the main central business district of the town is. We've got the old town hall over on the left here as we come out onto the square, and a bakery on the right hand side, and also a music concert venue. So there's always a lot going on in Rønne, particularly in the summer. And that's the old town hall over there on the left. I'm just going to walk through the town and up to the banks, and then we'll wind up the tour there. Hey. So but I just thought we might go and have a close look at the fountain that's over here. And it's actually quite interesting, this fountain, because the fountains are actually slugs, which is an interesting thing to make a fountain out of. I'm not really sure why, what the history is behind this fountain. I probably need to look it up and put it in the comments. But that was a tour of Rønne, another tour. So this is going to be walking tour 3. This is Bronwyn Lund from BronHolm Tours signing off. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, share and like. It goes a long way. Bye for now.